It is the next morning, and clearly before we can get these bushings to go into the ends, gotta clean it out. And also before I try to press the parts in, it has to be squeaky clean. No residue of any kind that's going to cause the part to bind as it's being pressed in. And yeah, I guess that's going to be the next step now, is get these cleaned out. And like I say, it's very important to do a good job. So that's what I'm going to do. A good job. Now these particular cutters are extremely sharp. A person has to be careful not to cut themselves. Oh, and the reason I take it off and then drag it through the rest of the way is because I don't want to be pulling this wax back through into the brass tube. It works for me. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use the end of this sharp cutter here to plow out any extra residue. And I do have to watch that I don't accidentally ream out the brass tube. In other words, enlarge it, because if I do, then the pen parts are going to be fitting loose in there. And although that's not the end of the world, because you can actually use CA glue to... you may notice that I have a hard time working and talking at the same time. Anyway, I think you get the idea here. This is actually not that hard. It's just time consuming. But hey, I got lots of time. Now on the tube on the left, you're going to see what appears to be a blob of glue about halfway down. Well, that's actually scratches, and it's just not reflecting the light. I thought it was glue at first too, and I double checked. Nope, scratches. This is what's known as a pen mill, or some people might call it a barrel trimmer, because the inside of the brass tube is actually a barrel. Now the idea of this thing is that you trim down the end of the acrylic blank so that it is just flush with the end of the brass tube. Now you don't want to accidentally shorten your brass tube, because if your parts are too short, that means that the nib is going to be always sticking out at the end of your pen. You won't be able to bring it back far enough. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Now there's two ways I can use this thing. I can either put it into my electric drill, or I can stick it in the drill press. Now if I put it in the drill press, you're going to be able to see how it works a whole lot better. So let's go do that. Now this one here, I'm going to have to go down quite a ways, probably about 3/16 of an inch before I actually start touching the end of the brass tube. But you can see how it's going to go here. There's a couple of things I do here to make it easy for myself. First of all, I use a vacuum cleaner to evacuate the shavings off the top of the brass tube so my view is not blocked. And secondly, I have a bright light shining down from behind that will reflect off the top of the brass tube as soon as the cutter has completely cleared it off. You're going to see. All of a sudden, the brass tube will have a bit of a shine to it. Now that vacuum cleaner and the nozzle was setting up such a screaming howl that my camera wasn't able to handle the loud noise. So the best thing to do here is just have a silent movie. Now, you don't have to do this, but I do it anyway to help. It sort of helps. And there's a little burr that's formed on the process that we just did there on the drill press. And that little burr sometimes will make it difficult to get the bushings in. And now it'll make it a lot easier. Now I think we're going to try and match this up here. Okay. Actually, okay, that probably, let's see here, like this. Was it like that? That's kind of hard to tell. Or could it have been like this? Well, you know, it probably doesn't matter. Anyway, the short one goes on the clip end, and the longer one goes on the nib end. And also the bushings, no two are the same size. So it's very important that I keep them in order here. Okay, in other words, the smallest one goes on the nib end, the second to the smallest goes on the cap end. And these two are so much the same size that sometimes you get them mixed up. Yeah, I got it right. Anyway, I think we're ready to turn here. Now, there's two ways I can do this. I can try and get everything on the mandrel at once, or I can do them individually. And I think I'm going to do them individually here. I need spacers, so I'm going to use bushings from another kit. And we'll start out with the easy one. Maybe I should use a pair of pliers. I don't want this to slip, but I don't think it will. I gotta try and get this a little bit closer yet. That's better. Now this mandrel saber bearing, it doesn't have to be real tight, just enough to take up the slack here and not rattle. Well, I was hoping to do a little bit of turning yet this evening, but it's getting a little bit too late. And once I start getting tired, it's no longer fun. And for me, this is all about having fun. Once it's no longer fun, it becomes work. And I retired a long time ago.